Michelle, she should change her name to Misery Obama. That's really what I think of when Misery Obama never has a positive word to say. Never. Not about children, not about family, certainly not about her husband. By the way, before we leave this topic, here's her latest soundbite that made the rounds. This happened on June 18th, but I was off. Here it is, 39.
You should have threw a boy in the mix.
I would. I'm so glad I didn't have a boy.
Yeah.
Because he would have been a Barack Obama.
It's like baby Barack. It would have been amazing.
No, I would have felt for him.
She just borrowed our boys.
Yes, I got plenty.
Wow.
Did you catch that? She's glad she didn't have a boy because he would have been a Barack Obama. And that's a hard pass for her. This woman can't stand him. She can't.
Megyn Kelly just stormed into the spotlight with a blistering critique that sent tremors through the polished corridors of Michelle Obama's brand. With sharp wit and unflinching delivery, Kelly unleashed a no-holds-barred commentary that cut through the fluff like a hot knife through a vanity press release. No soft jabs here. This was a full-on rhetorical takedown that left the former First Lady deflecting with broad platitudes and polished book quotes. As Kelly's words echoed, the media-crafted sheen surrounding Michelle began to fracture, exposing a carefully curated image to the glare of pointed questions. If you believe Michelle was beyond reproach, think again. Kelly didn't just challenge the narrative. She deconstructed it with chilling accuracy.
Because the bars are just different for people in life. Right. The bar was very different for your husband. Very different. And I'm sure he got into Harvard just based purely on his intellect, right? And Harvard Law School. And he was ushered into the presidency with about 2 minutes of public service behind him, right? Like a short stint in the U.S. Senate after being a local Illinois lawmaker. And he was lauded like he was.
Michelle Obama has mastered the art of influence with nothing more than a furrowed brow, a solemn head tilt, and the kind of gravitas that makes even silence feel scripted. It's as if the laws of physics pause to hang on her every word. With a well-timed side glance and a push for kale over cupcakes, she's crafted an empire, equal parts lifestyle guru and political icon, cardigan included. But Megyn Kelly isn't buying the myth. She sizes up the spectacle, rolls up her rhetorical sleeves, and starts sharpening her sarcasm like it's evidence in a cross-examination, ready to challenge the crown in the court of public opinion.
To what Michelle Obama said in response to this opinion today. Of course, students on my campus and countless others across the country were and continue to be granted special consideration for admissions. Some have parents who graduated from the same school. Others have families who can afford coaches to help them run faster and hit a ball harder. Others go to high schools with lavish resources for tutors and extensive standardized test prep. So often we just accept that money, power, and privilege are perfectly justifiable forms of affirmative action, while kids growing up like I did are expected to compete when the ground is anything but level. You know what, Michelle? Same. And I'm white. I didn't have any of those.
Michelle Obama wasn't so much a first lady as she was a walking Pinterest board with a security detail. Her legacy? Swapping out cookies in school lunches and turning hula hooping into a televised crusade for wellness. While the nation applauded with green smoothies in hand, Megyn Kelly watched with growing disbelief. No script, no teleprompter, just 2 decades of built-up exasperation ready to burst. She's not impressed by polished speeches or kale-wrapped patriotism. She's here to unpack the hype behind the halo, one unfiltered truth at a time.
The first one about how difficult it is for Black women like Michelle to articulate their pain.
We grew up with women who weren't voicing the pain and the burden. They made it look easy. And when you make stuff look easy, people assume that you must like this.
Yeah.
It's okay with you, right?
Right.
You know, we don't articulate as Black women our pain because it's almost like nobody ever gave us.
Every time Michelle stepped into the spotlight, it carried the weight of a royal proclamation wrapped in feel-good inspiration. She floated onto talk shows with the poise of someone fresh off a global summit, only to dramatically unveil a jump rope campaign or a coloring book. The pageantry rarely matched the pitch, but the audience applauded like she'd just rewritten the Constitution. With every polished sentence and perfectly arched eyebrow, the mundane was elevated to messianic. Proof that branding, when done right, can turn sidewalk chalk into statecraft.
Because when you're thinking of victims of this awful world, you think of Michelle Obama and how terrible we've all been to her. This woman is a one-woman destitution derby. Every time we check in on her at her podcast, she is feeling sorry for herself. She is criticizing Barack Obama or this country. She never has a positive word to say about any.
Megyn can barely contain her eye roll. It's practically a tax write-off at this point. What she's watching isn't policy. It's pageantry with a side of quinoa. The infamous school lunch initiative? More like a flavor lockdown. Michelle marched into America's cafeterias like a well-dressed food czar, slapped the pizza out of kids' hands, and expected a standing ovation. Instead, what followed was a quiet rebellion. Vending machines raided like they were underground snack speakeasies. When a first grader starts trading Doritos like their black market currency, you know the revolution has begun. Megyn doesn't need a research team to expose the absurdity. It was written on every sad, colorless tray where lunch meant limp lettuce and a silent cry for season.
Still at it.
Still at it.
And in this particular soundbite, she's got thoughts on relationships. Listen here.
Relationships are long and there are also ebbs and flows, right? So I think sometimes people who date don't realize that, you know, in long-term relationships, you're gonna have deep dips and you're gonna have
a bad year.
You're gonna have a bad. I tell people, and folks think that this is harsh. It's like you're gonna have a bad decade.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've been married to my husband for 30 plus years. I mean, the truth is, if you add it all up, even the year if the odds were you're going to be married to your partner for 50 years and 10 of those years could be.
Michelle Obama often preached about going high, but did so with a perfectly timed side-eye for anyone who dared question her actual accomplishments. Megyn Kelly isn't buying the performance. She sees through the glitz and perfectly staged humility. Michelle didn't ascend to icon status because of a groundbreaking record. She was elevated by a media machine that could turn a raised eyebrow into a national moment. One wave and the headlines gushed. The poise of power. One smirk and Twitter spiraled into think pieces about the silent resilience of grace under pressure. Meanwhile, Megyn's watching all this and asking the uncomfortable question, did America crown a cultural oracle, or just someone with an impressive collection of belts? Then came the memoir, marketed like a manifesto, consumed like gospel. The book tour wasn't your average signing event. It looked like a cross between a TED talk and a Beyonce concert, complete with stadiums, spotlights, and accent pillows. And what did the pages actually say? Be yourself. Stay hydrated. Ignore haters. Oh, and Oprah once told me I was special. Megyn reads that and can't help but think, this isn't political insight. It's a hardcover Pinterest board. And let's not forget the well-worn narrative of Michelle as the reluctant public figure. Please, she embraced the spotlight the way a cat embraces knocking valuables off a shelf. Frequently, theatrically, and with laser-focused intent. She claimed to loathe politics, yet somehow managed to appear on every magazine cover, documentary credit roll, and international stage, gripping a gold-plated microphone with the ease of someone born for it. Reluctant. Megyn's not convinced. That woman didn't stumble into the fame. She sprinted toward it like it was a polluting ride, led by her own mirror image.
You'd sign up for it.
You'd sign up for it.
You'd sign up for it.
You know,
Right.
and that's really how it works out.
Is it, Michelle? It's not. I've been married for 17 and a half years and not one was bad. I think she and he married the wrong people.
I think you're 100% right. This is only her third episode. I can't think of anybody I would go to for advice less than Michelle Obama. She really doesn't know what she's talking about.
This is where Megyn really starts tugging at the carefully stitched seams. The entire Obama brand, at its core, relied on the illusion that Michelle was somehow above it all. Untouchable, enlightened, gliding through politics like a life coach wrapped in designer silk. Always gracious, never petty, at least on the surface. But behind that polished smile was a masterclass in passive-aggressive precision. Her jabs, laced with Ivy League finesse, sugar-coated but sharp enough to draw blood. Megyn recognizes that tone instantly. It's the same one used to fire someone while praising their impeccable taste in footwear. Then there's the grand performance of relatability, the every woman act. Michelle strutting through sold-out arenas with multi-million-dollar lighting rigs, telling middle-class moms she gets them. As if juggling bedtime at the White House compares to corralling 3 overtired kids in a cramped 2-bedroom next to a freeway. Megyn doesn't let that one slide. Nor does she overlook the irony of someone jet-setting in private planes to discuss climate change while scolding the rest of us for not composting.
Was when she went on this other guy's podcast, Jay Shetty. She goes and sits down with him, and he asks her, what are you afraid of? And she starts off by saying, well, my fears aren't for me. You know, I think about the streets. My fears aren't for me.
Well, in this current climate, for me, it's, what's happening to immigrants.
I mean, I travel in a 4-car motorcade. After all, I'm Michelle Obama. But she actually says this. And then she says, but, I worry for my girls because, not that much because they are sort of recognizable, but I'm worried about them.
Let's not forget the relentless obsession with firsts. Yes, Michelle Obama was the first lady, but the way her narrative gets packaged and replayed, you'd think she was the first woman in history to walk, talk, and read a teleprompter simultaneously. Every speech was treated like a historic broadcast. Every interview, framed as a masterclass in humanity. Megyn sees it for what it is, a hyper-produced, politically protected PR engine cranking out inspirational sound bites and commemorative coffee mugs faster than her husband issued executive orders. And don't get Megyn started on the post-White House glow-up. Michelle didn't retreat into private life. She pivoted into full-blown mogul mode. She didn't just write a memoir. She launched a lifestyle brand disguised as a personal journey, monetizing every nuance of her personality like a one-woman media conglomerate. The Obamas left office and wasted no time turning their legacy into a Netflix-ready franchise. While most former First Ladies publish a book and quietly fade, Michelle rolled out a cinematic universe. Let's be real. Her popularity wasn't built on legislative accomplishments or policy blueprints. It was built on her unmatched ability to speak with conviction about topics that were conveniently above critique. She doesn't engage in debate. She delivers decrees. And if you dare challenge her, you're immediately labeled bitter, ignorant, or out of touch. But Megyn, she's not bowing to the narrative. She's coming armed with facts, clarity, and the kind of cutting precision that makes brand consultants start scanning for the nearest exit.
Been on a podcast called Diary of a CEO. It's kind of rings a bell like a founder kind of situation. And once again, want you to know how awful it is to be married with children.
There are just many natural reasons why marriage, infertility, trying to have kids makes things difficult. It's like I try to tell couples, of course it's hard. Just listen to what I said, right? Like it's probably, if you're having some issues in your marriage, it's not you, it's the process of marriage.
Michelle Obama's legacy has been carefully polished into a shimmering, untouchable mirage, one where even her missteps are alchemized into feminist milestones. If she micromanaged school lunches, it wasn't controlling, it was empowerment. If she flubbed a line during a speech, the media called it a powerful redefinition of authenticity. But Megyn isn't dazzled by branding. She slices through that narrative like it's tissue paper masking a velvet robe. Sometimes a stumble isn't symbolic, it's just a stumble. And sometimes a powerful woman isn't trailblazing. She's just repackaging soft politics with luxury branding and strategic lighting. Then there's the fitness fixation. Michelle's arms have received more press coverage than some global conflicts. One flex and headlines gasped in admiration as if her biceps had personally negotiated trade deals. Megyn can't help but smirk. Physical wellness matters, sure, but let's not confuse dumbbell curls with meaningful policy reform. It was visually striking PR, not transformative governance. Michelle's activism always knew where the safety lines were. Her causes came wrapped in media consultant approval, crafted for applause, not discomfort. She never touched the third rails, only the ones wrapped in satin and ribbon. Megyn sees it for what it is, the safest version of influence. Champion universally agreeable messages, pose with a child, and declare it progress. It's political theater infused with yoga mat energy, serene, curated, and risk-free. Michelle was branded as revolutionary for telling people to be kind, as if kindness had never existed until it came laminated, hashtagged, and stitched onto a throw pillow with her initial.
Party does not appear to be Michelle Obama. So far, no. She got no percentages whatsoever as the leader of the party, which is interesting because think of all the buzz around her when we thought Joe had to step down after that June debate. He's got to go. Could it be Kamala? Well, she's not going to win. What about Michelle? Oh, would she do it? She was one of the main names, if not the main name, mentioned. But now nobody sees her as a party leader. And apparently Michelle Obama does not see herself as a party leader, because when she talks about like her time in the White House, Barack running, it's all negative on this new podcast. I mean, it's exactly what we thought. That it's very clear she hated being First Lady. She hated being in Washington. She doesn't like the fact that Barack was president. I mean, she just has nothing but negative things.
Megyn can't help but laugh at the thought of people shelling out $150 a ticket to hear Michelle Obama recite what most grandmothers already stitched onto throw pillows back in the 80s. This isn't bravery. It's comfort repackaged in empowerment buzzwords and dipped in designer gloss. She didn't break glass ceilings. She hosted curated luncheons beneath them, complete with floral centerpieces and carefully vetted guest lists. Every initiative she touched came wrapped in the cinematic glow of a Hallmark movie, paired with the motivational depth of a LinkedIn post. It's not that Megyn hates Michelle. Far from it. She just refuses to kneel before a personality cult built on curated charisma, commercially safe virtue signaling, and the delicate balancing act of being worshipped while pretending not to notice. Michelle's legacy isn't just overhyped. It's mass-produced. It's been polished, packaged, and resold to the public in bite-sized affirmations, hardcover photo spreads, and Netflix docuseries. There's nothing wrong with positivity. But pretending it's a political strategy? That's where Megyn draws the line. You can't govern a nation with Instagram captions and brunch slogans. You don't build social progress on Spotify playlists and panel appearances. And no, you don't earn political sainthood for passing out carrot sticks at a DC charter school.
Out loud. This is the perfect soundbite after the discussion we just had about how the left looks at everything through this identity. You could say prism. You could also say prison. Where she's talking about how women aren't allowed to articulate their pain, about how they just suck it up. You know, they don't show that. As if men never do that. Men are known, aren't they, for articulating their pain? That's what you think of when you think of.
Let's talk about the Michelle Obama media treatment, because it wasn't just flattering, it was practically beatific. Every magazine cover looked like a Renaissance painting. Every profile piece read like it was ghost-written by a fan club president with a poetry degree. This wasn't media coverage. It was a rolling group hug with designer lighting. Michelle wasn't simply praised. She was canonized. One moment she's doing lunges, the next she's being described as the spiritual heir to both Florence Nightingale and Maya Angelou, if they had access to a glam squad and a SoulCycle pass. But Megyn doesn't need incense and ambient jazz to evaluate a legacy. She looks at the scoreboard, and when it comes to tangible impact, Michelle's resume reads thinner than the nutritional guidelines she imposed on school lunches. Yet she floats above criticism like dissent is beneath her. Wrapped in an aura of untouchability. That's the real sorcery. She's not bulletproof because she's flawless. She's bulletproof because questioning her narrative is instantly branded as rude or regressive. Megyn's not swinging just to land punches. She's pointing out the obvious. This isn't a marble statue we're all bowing to. It's a well-crafted cardboard cutout.
There's a lot in there, Glenn. That does not sound like somebody who's in favor of his run for president, or frankly, in favor of him. Like, he was smart and ambitious. Think about if that's how, like, that's why you thought that your spouse was going to run for and possibly become president. I mean, he's smart and he's ambitious. None of what Barack Obama actually ran on, right? I want to change the world. I want to heal the country, hope and change. What? Like, she wasn't buying it, and it doesn't sound like she buys it.
Megyn's not buying the act, not for a second. That coy dance around "I'm not interested," while casually name-dropping policy concerns, is straight out of the political playbook for someone aching to be begged into the spotlight. It's not modesty. It's brand strategy in slow motion. A performance calibrated to keep media speculation alive without ever stepping far enough forward to risk real accountability. This isn't about tearing someone down for sport. It's about questioning the absurd altar we've built for Michelle Obama, often without ever examining what actually stands on it. Her political resume? Let's just say it's lighter than the low-call lunch trays she once mandated. But somehow, she's managed to float above any real critique, cloaked in charisma so thick it's become bulletproof. Megyn's not here to stab at the persona. She's here to peel it back and ask why we treat charm like a substitute for substance. And now, Michelle drifts effortlessly across award stages and high-dollar panels like a high priestess of polished ambiguity. She'll toss out a phrase like amplifying unheard voices or honoring lived experience, and suddenly the crowd reacts like she's rewritten the Constitution. Megyn watches, eyebrow raised, like she's sitting through a Broadway show titled The Art of Saying Absolutely Nothing. But make it inspirational. The script rarely changes, just the lighting and wardrobe. The applause isn't earned, it's expected. Not a celebration of content, but a reflex of conditioning. Meanwhile, Michelle's legacy swells like a helium balloon at a branding expo. All shimmer, no anchor. Megyn doesn't need pyrotechnics to cut through the noise. No drum roll, no spotlight, just a steady voice pointing past the sparkle and revealing what's missing underneath.